Good day, everybody. This is Yin Yang in California. Just waking up in California with morsels of a thought, number 1672. I put up my props and I read the books, and I'm putting up the props as we speak. Ay, ay, ay. Okay. Oh, in morsels of a thought, hopefully of wisdom, we try to give you wisdom, morsels of a thought of wisdom, because knowing the right things to do would be wisdom, and doing them would be virtue. And we're trying to bring the world to have more virtue. That's what my goal is, bring more virtue into the world. Okay. I have come to you 1672 days in a row since January 2nd, 2021. And it was because it was a challenge that started for January, that started on January 1st for 30 days. So I figured I still had time to do 30 days if I started on January 2nd. So I wasn't really meant to do it right on time. However, I did get the 30 days done, and I've done 1642 more since. So today is 1672. My name is Ying Yang. I'm in San Francisco, California. I was born in Taiwan, and I got to the United States when I was a baby. And then I grew up in San Francisco. So my values are those of a Chinese American kid. I uh, 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 attended UC Berkeley, and then I dated men. But I never had a good algorithm, never had a good vetting system for the men. So I dated some really cheesy guys. I mean, really cheesy. Some of them were dumb as. So somebody told me once, no, don't get upset, man. I'm gonna hear, you'll hear this. But one man once said to me, you either get a bad dog or you get a dumb dog. so so whenever my friends are talking about how they're having conflicts with their husbands, I just say, well, be glad he's instead of a sorry, man. It's just that I was told this by a man. And he was a real player too. And he was not that okay, so no, I won't say where he worked because that's kind of prejudicial. Well, okay, he worked in a medical school. Oh boy. Okay, week 9 after the X. I'm talking like I'm yeah, definitely got a few X's there. Okay. Your rules weekly pep talk. You can love again. And there is hope to find another love of your life after Mr. Right becomes your ex. Some people can get through the 5 stages of grief, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally acceptance in a week, while others take much longer. Allow yourself to mourn the loss of the person and all the lost hopes and goals you dreamed to have with them. Part of the mourning process is letting go. You have to allow yourself. Part of that struggle may be to let go of gifts, personal items, or other belongings you shared. And similar to everyone who seems to be cleaning out their closets and drawers and other clutter, thanks to Marie Kondo, author of The Life Changing Magic of Tidying Up, consider what to do about relationship clutter. Are you holding on to your ex's cards, gifts, letters, emails, DVDs, restaurant matchbooks, college sweatshirt, and other mementos? Don't. That's keeping your romantic partner present in your life. Throw everything out so you have a clean break. Out of sight, out of mind. This week, focus on decluttering your ex in every way and stop talking about him so you can make room for a new Mr. Right. Daily rules. Stop talking about your ex. If you want to get over your ex, stop talking about him and tell everyone you know to change the subject. Women will typically tell anyone who will listen about their breakup. They will go over all their mistakes to figure out where it went wrong and possibly salvage the relationship. They get advice from their astrologist, manicurist, therapist, trainer, hair colorist, and guy friends, hoping to crack the case. Getting rid of an ex obsession means making a decision that it's over and done with and there's no going back. Talking about him is keeping him alive. Not talking about him will help you feel like it's dead. Day 254 is imaginary exes. Women can get attached to men quickly to men. Women can get attached to men. No, no. Women can get attached quickly to men they barely know. One client got stalled for a year on a guy she had only one date with. During the year, he messaged her for months but never asked her out again. We call these imaginary exes. Remind them that messages mean nothing and it's not a genuine relationship until there are many months of consecutive Saturday night dates. The rules are truth serum that suggest questions to ask so you can become more rational about how you see your relationships. What would you tell a friend who was obsessed with a guy who texted but never asked her out? Exactly. So pretend you are that friend and don't waste time on fantasy exes. Day 255, last thing on your mind. Of course, the last thing a woman wants to talk about after a breakup is going to singles events or posting her online profile. Even if she does go out or online, she doesn't think now is the right time. She wants to take a few months or a year to heal so she doesn't risk a rebound relationship. She wants to listen to every podcast on breakups first. You never hear of guys waiting to date. No, they're chatting up the next girl at a bar the same night they broke up with you. If you need more motivation to move on fast, think about your ex boyfriend talking to another girl right now. Now, that would be a really good thing to be able to see it for what it is. Imagine, and you'll see, gee, that'd be that guy talking to that person. So, what we're trying to do in Morsels of a Thought of Wisdom, number 1672, is to go through Ellen Fein and Sherrie Schneider's books, The Rules. The Rules Handbook is a guide to creating loving and lasting relationships, and the rules, not your mother's rules, the new secrets for dating are with their daughters too. Those are for relationships between women and men mostly, but there are relationships that can go from hetero to, well, they can't go from, I mean, some do, but I meant that we're talking in a range of heterosexual relationships to gay men or lesbian women. There is a pursuer and a pursuee, and sometimes the pursuee has a hard time letting go of their ex. So we use these tactics, of course. So, like this one, think about your ex talking to another potential date right now. That will make you upset. Tell everyone to cut you off. You know how a bartender will cut off a customer who is drinking too much? Ditto with getting over an ex. If you are obsessed with your ex, Tell yourself and everyone you know to cut you off the second you talk about him. Don't think that talking about him is therapeutic anymore. After a certain point, it becomes addictive and destructive, not to mention boring to everyone who knows your story. A woman getting over an ex can literally talk about him all day. She's like a runaway train. Just when you thought she was over him, talking about him, she has one more theory on the breakup that she forgot to mention, one more insight that she thinks will shed light on the whole situation, one final piece of the puzzle that needs to be discussed, one critical plan that needs to be executed, one more conversation that needs to be had with him or his mother or sister or best friend or roommate or therapist, one more accidental running into a scenario that needs to be worked out. That's stalking. One more text or email that needs to be sent. One more item of his that she needs to return, or item of hers that she must get back ASAP. It's endless and futile and sad. So ask everyone to cut you off and take you out to a bar or singles event or party so you can get out of your head and into reality and maybe meet someone new. Don't be delusional. Day 257. Excuse me while I yawn. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Gosh gracious. Sorry. Ay, ay, ay. What did I do last night that I was so tired? Oh, I ate gummy bears. I budgeted some gummy bears into my diet because I love them so much. And thank you, Liz Lors Cantara, for telling me that was a good idea that you could possibly take some calories out of your diet and put in the candy calories that you are craving. And that way you don't have to punish yourself for taking the candy. And I'm thinking that the sugar makes me tired after I wake up. So if I have it before I sleep. Hoping your ex will, okay, I had 3 servings. Hoping your ex will return is not only a waste of time, but often leads to depression, anxiety, and an inability to focus on work, interests, and other relationships. You tell yourself, quote, I know he wants to be with me, but has commitment issues. I know he will eventually come around. Maybe I should send him another text, end quote. Are you ready to stop pining over your ex and living your life? Women will obsess over their exes. Women who obsess over their exes are living in the past, frozen in time. They are in a state of unconsciousness. They are sleepwalking. To be alive is to release the old and embrace the new. If you add up all the time, energy, and money on therapists and psychics who are pining over an ex, you could have met someone new and been married already. A divorced client was heartbroken about a widower she dated for 3 months who told her he couldn't commit because he missed his wife too much. The truth is, she messaged him first on a dating app. His wife had been dead for 20 years. This client told us she read the rules backwards and forwards, but couldn't wait any longer for the right man to contact her, so she took matters into her own hands. He told her he was still grieving and just looking for something casual. She suggested couples counseling and a bereavement therapist. He said no. She talked about him for a year to anyone who had listened, saying how terrible it was that he couldn't get over his grief and suspected that his dead wife was casting a spell on him. She hated his wife for keeping them apart and even went to a medium to break the bond between him and his late wife. We told her that there was no such spell and that he just wasn't interested as he didn't message her first. Perhaps she wasn't his look and type. We advised her to pour all her energy into buying a new wardrobe, dressing up, going to singles events, posting new photos on dating apps, never contacting a man first, and stopping talking about him or seeing mediums. She felt like she was going to die because the ex withdrawal was so great, but she was desperate to get married and listened to our advice. 6 months later, she met another guy who spoke to her first, and she is now engaged. So you see, A woman can go crazy. You can't imagine how crazy she can get when the wrong algorithm is in her head, the wrong system is in her head, the wrong idea is in her head, that she's got a guy that is interested in her, but something is wrong with the something. And it's not the case. It's just that he's not that interested. The authors have to say this to people all the time. I am sure. I don't even have to ask to confirm. I am sure they have to say this all the time to people that uh, women should not date men that didn't talk to them first, that the men that they're talking to, that they spoke to first, that are not interested in them, are not that interested in them. It's interesting because there are people who will get married to people just to be polite, and then you will find that the women wear the pants in the family. And the reason that they wear the pants in the family is that they talked to the guy first in the first place. He was never interested in her, but he married her because she proposed to him. And men will go along with that, but they won't necessarily be a good husband. So want to have a rules relationship with a rules husband, you've got to do the rules. And I know people who have done the rules since before the rules ever took place. I mean, the rules phenomenon started in the mid 90s, but there are people who got married in the 70s, and that my friends, most of my friends got married in the 80s and 90s. So they didn't have the rules. And all of the ones that were successful were where the women knew the men could chase them, and the men could chase them, and they let the man chase them, and they did basically the rules. Basically, they didn't necessarily do every rule because they didn't necessarily know all of them, but they knew that the man was the pursuer and the woman was the pursuee. And you would find that the authors have said in their first book that there are people who would break up with a man that had years and years of trying, commitment issues and things, and years, 5 years go by, 7 years go by, in my case 9 years go by, and the guy never proposes, but 6 months later he'll propose to somebody else. Now that didn't happen to me, but he did indeed get married to somebody else, and he didn't stay with her 9 years before he did that. So I don't know when they met. And I never did ask when they met because I always felt that there was an overlap. But being an overlap meant that I already knew I was breaking up with this guy. It took me a long time to break up with him. Hmm, 9 years. Ew, 8.5, if you think about it right. Huh. Throw it out. Okay, so in morsels of thought, of wisdom, I'm going to read the next part, which is called Throw It Out. The next part of The Rules Handbook, a guide to creating loving and lasting relationships. These are morsels of thought of wisdom. And wisdom is knowing the right things to do, as well as knowing the pitfalls to avoid, and then doing them and avoiding pitfalls is called virtue. Sometimes T0 is zero. So time zero, initial time means that when you are worried about how much time will pass, you have to start from measuring at zero plus whatever. So you, what am I thinking of? I'm confused. I'm thinking of the fact that you sometimes need to. This is a bleepy, bleepy moment, actually, I'm having right now. I just distracted myself, so I'm sorry I just distracted myself. Anyway, so morsels of a thought of wisdom. 1672 days in a row, I have come to you, and hopefully that you would know what to do. Oh, yeah, the thing I was saying was T0 was doing nothing. Sometimes doing nothing or having no improvement or having no change is a good change, because there is a chance that had you not followed the rules, you would have had a bad situation occur, or that things would have slipped badly. So thinking that you're standing still may or may not be the virtuous thing. Virtuous thing can be to do nothing because you don't want to fall into a pitfall, right? Fall into a pit. Anyway, throw it out. Get rid of everything sentimental he ever gave you. Now, this is effective communication and commitment. The title of this section is After the X. Get rid of everything sentimental he ever gave you: cards, emails, photos, tickets, books, perfume, candles, and anything that reminds you of him. Unfriend him on Facebook and unfollow him on Instagram, Twitter, and other social media. You don't want to see that he announced the breakup or see status updates of him looking happily single or with his new girlfriend. Finding out that he moved on quickly could send you into a depression. If he suggests staying friends, ignore him or say no thanks. You're the prize. You're not interested in consolation prizes. Skip the angry letters. Don't send texts or handwritten letters telling your ex how much he hurt you or berate him for his alleged infidelities. It's like talking to the dead. You won't get anywhere. One woman wrote to her ex-boyfriend, quote, "I'm very sad that you are not being truthful about the text messages I found from your coworker. You were clearly living a double life for the last 6 months that we were together. Did you ever love me or mean anything you said? I hope she hurts you as much as you've hurt me. You deserve each other!" Exclamation point. End quote. He never wrote back. Women should share this kind of letter with a dating coach or therapist, not an ex. Most men will not respond or even acknowledge it. So, yeah, if you were a man and you received something like that, whether or not you had actually been unfaithful, um, you wouldn't answer that. So why would a woman write that and send it to the man? Write it if you want, but don't press send. Actually, write it in handwriting on paper and show it to your therapist or a friend. That's what the authors are saying. You use a pencil so it's erasable. So because something about pencil is that it's not binding legally. That's what I've heard. Pencil is not binding legally. Something like that. Because it can be erased and changed easily. Apply the rules to achieve your higher self. Apply the rules to achieve your higher self. Forget about all those letters. Throw it out and don't be delusional. And tell everyone to cut you off when you're talking about your ex and make it so that the last thing you stop talking about your ex and stop thinking about imaginary exes. Apply the rules to achieve your higher self. Throw out your ex's stuff, such as cards or concert ticket stubs. That's number one. Number two, every time you have a Hallmark movie type memory about your ex, immediately switch it to a terrible fight you had. Practice the law of substitution. Number three, if you've been writing emails or handwritten letters to your ex, either delete, burn, or discuss them with your dating coach or therapist. Don't send anything to him. No. No, 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 no. We don't want to let him think about our goal in doing that is that we want him to live his life. We I get this from my friend. Oh my gosh. You think to yourself, be calm, be cool. I am calm. I am grounded. And I hope the bastard has a nice day. That is what I got from a friend, not from the rules. If you wanted to think your lower self, let your lower self be. Say that once in your head or out loud, one time, say it. I hope the bastard has a nice day. And then go into your higher self. Oh, who? I'm sorry. What? So, we want to make sure that we think of other things. Think about your little pooch. Think about your little dog. Think about your next meal. Think about your next outing. Think about your next coffee date. Think about your next thought. Okay? Old Kinderhack. Bye bye.